Hello. Welcome. Tuesday, July the 18th. I think we're getting pretty close to 50 of these shows. I'm going to count up for definite. It might just feel like more. It's good to be back in the rhythm. And if you are watching this for the first time, welcome. I hope you enjoy the content. I'm always looking for feedback. If you are a regular viewer, thank you very much. And let's start by getting to know each other. So please say hello in the comments. And also, why not list what company you work for? So let's share the companies we work for. Ivunya is here. Hello, Eva. Yes, the legend that is Chris helped me out massively yesterday with someone looking for work. Oh, he's back, everybody. Danny's back. And David is here as well. Hello, mate. Mark's here. Brilliant. A very good morning to you too, sir. Yes. Oh, what a collection. We've got some superstars joining. Nick is here as well, who I saw in person again for the first time a while ago at the DDC Discusses, wasn't it, mate? A up. Yes, the legend from Leeds. Farhad is here. Love Farhad. Good to have you here, my friend. Marianne as well. Only here for 20 minutes. Sorry, I have to dive off for a meeting. Well, it's good to have you here for 20 minutes. Um, Siri's here as well. So, Aftab is from Zippy Info Solutions. Hello, Dan. And we have, good morning to you, sir. Looking very smart in that profile picture. Kerry. Hello, Kerry. Kerry works for Pseudo Search and is, I love how she shows up on LinkedIn and is also the same in person, which is lovely. Mark is works for Market Scan. Hello, Mark. Mike, good morning, mate. Check out Mike's YouTubes as well. They're really good. And he works for Greenlight Innovation Limited. Danny, company is Fergun. And yesterday was International Fergun Day, and Danny shared what it means. And he's also been on the podcast and is a culture expert. Morning all from the Miracle Makers Red Recruitment. Lovely Craig and the gang down in Bristol. Here he is. I feel the rhythm of the rap. Morning all. Clayton. A brand new addition to the team leader community. Now, Dan works for Evolution Warranties Limited. And Simon, hi Simon, hello mate, from Happence here. Hope I've pronounced that right, Happence. You are more than welcome. I just think it's a good idea for us to get to know each other. I feel like I know you all, and for some, I've met you in person, but often I don't know who you work for. Like Mike, I didn't know you worked for Greenlight Innovation. I love your like I say, I love your YouTubes. They're great, really thought provoking. Danny, here we go. Fergoon is a Hebrew word that means the genuine, sincere, and pure happiness for other person's accomplishment or experience. And I can guarantee that Danny does live that. He lives that mindset. Growth Crew Limited, Clayton's own company. Clayton's a bit of an inspiration of mine. He's delivered a masterclass in the community, and he was just ahead of me, like 6 months ahead of me from going out on his own. Or maybe a bit longer, Clayton, wasn't it? And I pick his brains all the time. George, hello mate, how you doing? Now George, correct me if I'm wrong, is a contact center manager looking for a new position and absolutely knows his stuff. So please do connect with him. Lovely Marianne in Wales, the Verity Centre, 15. Is that what's the 15 for again, Marianne? Course, Chris is at the forum. The learning specialist, the organization that cares the most about making sure its members progress and get better. So, absolutely love Chris and Phil and everyone there, the work they're doing at the forum. And Jordan is here. Um, hello, mate. Jordan is at Fab Group and is a star of the team leader community. You sure am, George. Well, hopefully people can connect with you. Brilliant. Fergan description is censored on screen. It's that powerful. Is it really? Maybe it's not on my comments or what I'm looking at. Maybe it's because you went italics. Um, 15 means that it only contains one swear word and themes of a sexual nature. Now, another guest from the podcast, Luke from Cloud Seacast, delivering on your journey to the cloud. Very, very helpful is Luke as well. If you need to know anything about the cloud, please check him out. Do not take it against him that he might talk about the ashes. Um, it's TVC 15. It's a David Bowie song. It is 1-5 and not 15. There you go. Every day is a school day, Marianne. I feel like I know you better. Um, and Nick, of course, is at Centrical, the employment engagement specialists. So do check them out. And Aftab, looking at you from India, mate. Brilliant. I hope I look good there. Do I look younger? Yes, Beth is here. Talking of superstars from the team leader community, Beth is here as well. Now, I feel like we've all got to know each other a little better. It's amazing to have you all here. Um, let me just take this off. It is time for a very quick advert. Bear with me one. Okay, forgive me that indulgence. He's getting his coffee on. I've got mine straight from the Nespresso machine. Look at that. Double espresso down this morning. The cup is going in the dishwasher after this, everyone, before you say anything. Now, also, this still tickles me. Yeah. It's amazing what you can do by yourself in marketing. But where I'm not by myself is I have to thank these people for allowing me to take the self-employed journey. So thank you to Sabio, BPA Quality, where I used to work and wherever is from. DDC Outsourcing, the guys that I do DDC discusses with, very interesting. And Green Bean, lovely Julie, Leanne, and now Sarah Hunt up at Green Bean. So thank you guys very much. Uh, a true Martin Teasdale style. Yeah, Ivunya knows this very well. Recently found a cortado. Cortado, what a coffee! We could talk about coffee for this entire show, but I just want to hit you all. There's loads of you on today. Um, I would love to know your answer to this question. If you could change one thing about our industry, what would it be? You can change one thing about the industry. What would it be? I'm confident in the brains out there that you guys are going to come up with something brilliant here. I've got some thoughts on this. To kick us off, I would love the perception of our industry to be one where you can have a great career, that it's kind of considered a bit more professionally externally. We all are obviously professionals at the top of our game internally, but externally, it would be good to see us considered a bit more highly. But for you, you can change one thing about the industry. What is it? I've given you your magic wand. What is the one thing that you would change? This isn't about it, but I'm interested in this. There's a version of potato with condensed milk, heaven, and only 2 million calories. Now, Danny, are you going to talk about culture? I hope so. Here we go. So, Chris, consistent messaging. Now, I don't want to talk for you, Chris. Do you mean from um, different organizations, different groups and communities within the industry? Is that what you mean? Please do elaborate because I'm curious. Danny, change the attraction process. There's so much growth in contact center roles. It feels odd that we recruit based on who fulfills the role spec most fully, rather than choosing people that meet fewer requirements and can grow in role. Yeah, let's talk about space. Let's talk about space to grow. It is an attraction, isn't it? It's an attraction of, I think we should be open and talk to people about, you know what, if you want to join as an agent and stay as an agent, that's great. But if you want to join as an agent as a stepping stone to progress into loads of other roles, this is the perfect industry for you. Here is what we need for those other roles. I totally agree. Marianne, people telling the truth when there is an issue. Stop saying you're excellent and all is good when you know you have problems. Very true. I think there's something in being open and honest and vulnerable, because otherwise, through comparison, you present a picture of something that isn't true that people might make decisions on. I think about my own journey into being self-employed. Hopefully you guys will know I've been very open. It has not been all fun, believe me. um, but yeah, people telling the truth when there's an issue. Stop saying you're excellent and all is good when you know you have problems. Now Chris, I asked him about this consistent messaging, and he has said yes, in a nutshell, too much contradiction which causes confusion. I totally agree. That kind of, we've got some things we all agree on. Let's stop competing and just agree where we agree and what we are going to do about it together. Mike, for people to respect privacy and confidentiality. Intriguing, Mike. Okay, and you follow up with example. My daughter just witnessed TLs and L&Ds at a contact center discussing an agent's disciplinary medical info directly on the floor. Now, I have talked about this in the team leader community. You won't be surprised to hear, Mike. And it's one of the things I've said, that with the responsibility of leadership, you cannot indulge in gossip. You are privy to information that needs to stay private. And that exactly is it. So I agree with you. Now, Danny, growth is one of the biggest reasons people stay with an organization. But our hiring practices try to get people that are already fully formed. We're shooting ourselves in the foot from day one. Very, very true. There isn't the people, we're not ever fully formed, are we? As Kerry, self-employment, starting a business is not for the faint-hearted. No, it comes with great highs, but also a hell of a lot of stress, doesn't it? Now then, Mike Clark, I'd list with professionalism. Yeah, very true, Danny. And to Mike's point earlier about privacy, people on the so from Craig here, people on the phones are seen as the same people in the support services. So when the office closes for Christmas, it also closes for all, not just non-customer facing teams. Such a good point. I spoke to a contact center yesterday, in fact, and they were talking about the same thing. The company got loads of stuff in. There was time to just come and congregate and have a party apart from the customer facing teams. Now, of course, you understand why, but really, would a break do any damage? Well, we'll see in a second, actually, on in the read along. So Nick would love to see the relationship with the rest of the business and the perception of what the contact center does. Great point, Nick. Absolutely great point. I often felt like the poor relations when going to head office, and they'll say, "Oh, you're just in the contact center." Yeah, just okay. The ones that are talking to all our customers, right? Marianne, have a culture of honesty for all in the company. Have a consistent approach. George, finding great leaders is key. I've seen a bad leader causing attrition where the agents could have potentially been great. People don't leave companies, do they, George? They leave people, they leave managers. So great point. Clayton, love to change the perception about working in a contact center for those who have never been in one. It has a negative effect on young people who may turn down a role because of what they hear from others, when in actual fact, it's an amazing place to learn valuable life skills. Oh, and of course, more support for leaders, just like the team leader community. Thank you, Clayton. I couldn't agree more in the first point as well, that often people who've never been near one or spoken to anyone from a contact center have a perception. The good thing is, just by exposing yourself to them, not not in that way, but just by talking to them, you can break those kind of misperceptions down. Um, out of people in the wider business start respecting agents as the experts they are on everything customer. Brilliant. You see so much money go on research that the average agent can just tell you absolutely spot on, David. Wouldn't expect anything less. Um, Contact centers are the lifeblood of any organization. Let's make sure we get proper props for being so fundamentally key to the success of the business. Thank you, David. David from Q Story, who's also been on the podcast. Great episode, that one. Great to have you here, Dave. And Dane from BPA agrees with David there. Dane and Helen recently did a webinar for BPA Quality. It was a great catch up on all things consumer duty. So if you need any help with that, Dane's your man, and Helen and Pete. Kerry, remove the blame culture. Often people blame the contact center for issues created elsewhere that the contact center are just trying to fix. Spot on. Mark agrees with Clayton. Here. Often a stigma with it all. Marianne, thank you for joining us just shortly. So I have to dive, don't want to. Good luck with your potential client. Have fun. Love you all loads. Love you too. I don't mind saying that. Make sure the tools that agents rely on work effectively and allow the agents to become better at their jobs. Thank you, Luke. As we discussed with Contact Babel's research, this is a key stress point for agents, isn't it? That they do not have the tools needed to do a difficult job. Ivonia, give up the approach. This is how we've always done things, and be open-minded. Those are dangerous words, aren't they? Ever dangerous. This is how we've always done it. Couldn't agree more. Chris, stop treating it like a minimum wage role. It needs regrading, so people see it as a valuable career. If they can be paid more in a role with less responsibility, how will we attract the talent in a competitive employment market? So true. Again, this kind of, I think this theme that is coming through is professionalism, right? Dan, maybe also be loud and proud about the good things too. Reading some of this is making me consider leaving the industry. Don't do it, Dan. Don't do it. We are hard on ourselves, aren't we? We will have, and I'm going to make a note. We're going to have a positive one. We're going to shout loud and proud next week. Dave agrees with Chris, especially as the need for the super agent increases over the coming years. I thought I was a super agent 20 years. Was it more? 25 years ago. Dan Cohen, 100%. It's so easy to be distracted by things that aren't quite right. CCs are incredible places. Yes, they are. Maybe revamp the concept that a promotion is always away from the customer-facing phone roles. This is interesting. Perhaps a tier system for call handling like tech support as they develop skills over time. I have worked in some places that have this tiering. But yeah, please do. For the rest of the show, why not? What are the good things that are happening? What are the things that you love? If only there were people out there that could provide counsel to help contact centers grow. Perhaps perhaps people with great contact center experience, maybe they're self-employed and have poor taste in football teams. I don't know. When you say poor taste, Danny, I'm very, very excited, by the way. You shouldn't have mentioned football because I've got the hope again. I'm hopeful with our new Australian manager, Angie. You were a super agent, not a super agent. Thank you, mate. It's a nice distinction to make, isn't it? Now then, please do keep these coming. And as Dan Cohen said, I think we all know we've got a lovely industry. Naturally, this question makes you point out some of the things that we can work on together, right? There's nothing stopping us using this medium or the medium. It doesn't need to be get out of rap, could be anything. I'm fully up for chatting to people about how we can improve some of these things together. You go further together, right? So someone who is a great role model for our industry, I'm pleased to say, is Daisy. If you haven't seen or heard the latest episode of Get Out of Rap, it is available now. And as I've noted here, there's 7,280 podcasts as of February 2 years ago. So you'd assume it's gone up in the management section of Apple Podcasts. And as you see, I'm not great at keeping up with my chart position. I have to admit. I know that I get an alert if I drop out the top 200. I'm kind of always in it at the moment, which is brilliant. I have been in the last couple of years, but as you can see, Daisy's episode, and Daisy is amazing. Daisy is from Dojo. Got up to 121st in the Apple chart. So please do check out her episode. It's the latest one. Coming on Friday, Ray Biggs. So Ray Biggs is going to be the guest of the podcast. Let me just positivity, the variety in roles. Very, very true, Kerry. Very true. Ever. Also build a culture of trust where your agents, and for that sake, all employees are proud of what they're doing, take full ownership, and don't need micromanaging leaders. Very true. Ever, you should talk to Danny. You and him would get on well about culture. Now we're coming to a favorite part. I know it's everyone's favorite, VT. Here we go. Okay, now then, I feel like I've said this page number for weeks, but we are on page 355 of the Contact Babel read along. So Contact Babel's Decision Maker Guide comes out every year. I don't know if you're the same as me, but I never fully read it. So we're fully reading it together, and it is very, very insightful. It's very interesting. Hang on. Sorry, I made myself laugh then. So we're now up to how we are contacting customers. So use of outbound automated contact. Now, this is where, sorry, Hugo's just done something outside. I dread to think. So this is where companies are asked on the extent to which they contact customers against reminders, notifications, and customer satisfaction surveys. And as you can see, when it comes to CSAT surveys, people are less likely to send them a recorded message, a bit more likely to send them an SMS, and in most cases, it is via an email. The same with deliveries and the same with reminders. Now, I know Dan is watching. I have to say, as an Nespresso user, the way that Nespresso combine their automated outbound communication once you've made an order is spot on. So both reminders, notifications, and then a follow-up afterwards is brilliant. It's a lovely combination of email and SMS. So Dan, well done to you and the guys. They're a real example of how things can be done well. So this is automated. What is interesting is if you have a look at the next one, look at the difference when we involve agents. So in terms of making live outbound calls, you will see that 17% of respondents allow agents to send reminders to customers via SMS, 13% notify customers manually, and manual email is used in around 20% of cases. So for live outbound calls, customer satisfaction surveys, we are contacting more through our agents making those calls than any other method. Now, I'm sure there are people watching with a bit more knowledge around how survey data is collected and the extent to which the methodology skews or can skew the data, because I imagine an agent contacting you live for a survey, you're going to would you give a slightly different response than if it was via SMS or email? I don't know about you, but if you ever go to Sports Direct and before you pay, they're eyeballing you as they turn around the machine and it's asking you to rate the experience. Now, I'm sure maybe the employees don't mind that much, but I don't feel like just pressing a low score when I'm looking at the person straight away. I tend to go kind of high, um, regardless of what that experience was like. But I guess that is for another time, right? What do you think of these types of stats and information? Um, Nothing coming through. You're all stunned into silence on this one. Okay, let's see if this will get a bit more interesting. So, the next one is the proportion of calls that could be avoided by proactive customer engagement by contact center size. And I just want to read on my other screen what was said here because I think it's important. Respondents were asked what proportion of inbound calls could be avoided by engaging the customer before they felt the need to call the business. 29% of contact centers reported that more than a quarter of their inbound calls could be avoided if more proactivity was used, which would make a huge difference to cost, as well as having a positive effect on customer experience. Businesses should be encouraged to analyze the type of interactions that they receive into their contact center and to see if there is a cost effective way of proactively handling these. The opportunity is certainly there for the industry as a whole to manage the inbound demand more effectively than is being done so at the moment. What do we think about that? The opportunity is there for the industry as a whole to manage the inbound demand more effectively than is being done so at the moment. So, this is the proportion of calls that could be avoided. Um, Danny, classic example of the reward recognition process driving an inappropriate behavior from employees. Very true, mate. The score becomes more important than the actual customer experience. Very true. So, do we feel as an industry that we need to do more to manage inbound demand more effectively than we are doing so at the moment? And I know that some of you that are watching are really involved in that. What do you think? Do you think we have the balance right, or do you agree with this report that we need to do more to proactively engage with customers to prevent an inbound contact? Um, this kind of call deflection, customer journey mapping is such a key part of our industry. I've heard all sides of discussion around this, and I would be fascinated to know what you think. Do you think we need to see more than these green bars here? That that there needs to be a higher proportion of calls being avoided because we've proactively dealt with the customer. What do you think? I'm going to leave you a second just to come up with some mind shattering thoughts on this. Get those fingers typing. Because it used to be, I don't want to say fashionable, but it used to be the big thing, didn't it? Call deflection, self serve. Everything was about reducing calls. And I think it went a bit too far that we would make it very difficult for customers to contact our contact centers. And I think is some of that still happening, probably. Um, Danny had a client that pushed back their people survey by 2 months because they knew there was some employee impacting messages being published. This shows they're not as interested in how their employees are actually feeling compared to the actual score output. Yes, mate, very true. I've seen that also. Uh, Timing of surveys, madness. Okay, Eva, proper engagement with the customer, getting to know them as a person, not as a number, is crucial to achieving first call resolution and the same limiting potential for repeated contacts. Very astute, Eva, and we will talk about first call resolution in a second. Please do keep your comments coming in on, do we need to manage inbound demand more effectively than we are doing so at the moment? It's an interesting point, isn't it? So let's now go. The next part was the use of call blending by contact center size. And you can see the average here, 37% has no call blending in our industry. There's only dedicated inbound and outbound agents. 37% have an ad hoc model depending on call volumes that it flexes between the two. And 27% have a structured universal queue model. I was slightly surprised that the 37% figure that there was no dedicated no comma they have dedicated inbound and outbound agents only. Danny, I think this is related to many of our contact center processes are in isolation. So let me just go back because I think this is, for example, our retention is often at the end of a live contract and becomes almost a let's bribe the customer to stay process. We could reduce that effect and the associated calls if we were more proactive in life, in building relationships and adding value throughout the life cycle. Just couldn't agree more. I worked somewhere where we had like a 16 stage CRM for the life cycle of a customer that was proactive. Mike says, Danny Wham, there's also a risk when contracts tie financial penalties to these scores. Companies choose a score, not the desirous output the score is designed to produce. Ditto, you and Danny are thinking alike, ever. Okay, Dave, once customer service is allowed to become siloed and undervalued in the business, the managers tend to get hyper-focused on their narrow goals. This pushes silly behaviors that protects jobs, not the customer's interest. Yeah, I hopefully I got that right. Now then, a short story from Craig. Lost wallet, had to cancel cards, went online, had to log into phone banking as no phone number, didn't have a login. Had to walk into the bank as web journey took me round in a circle. Did so and cancelled bank account, disengaged. Too deflected for its own good. Wow, very true. I did a post once on LinkedIn about a maze and just how a company I was dealing with at the time had made the resolution like the goal of a maze, and it was like this, Craig. It's an inconvenience, isn't it? We should be making things easier. For me, inbound and outbound are different skill sets. Easy for you to say. Outbound is far more no conversations. Inbound is initiated by the customer, so is already warm. Very true. Ray's here, the ray of sunshine, Beverly Hughes, the legend, the guru. Damn, I used to run a 24/7 call center to manage that. Calls seemingly have gone out of vogue. Well, yes, they have. Albeit, we know from last week, don't we, that if when customers were asked, like 2,000 of them, if the outcome is the same, what's the channel you prefer? 70% or around that number said voice. But you're dead right, you two. It's crazy that we are making things difficult still. Now, what do we believe are the importance of these factors to a customer when contacting your organization? This is fascinating. Now, this was people within our industry, okay, were asked, please rank these factors as in a list of importance, right, to a customer when contacting your organization. So first, which is at the bottom, was first call resolution. More people voted. 54% said that was the most important factor for customers when contacting their organization. Way ahead, way ahead. Do you agree with that? Next was short queue or short wait time to get a response. 17% of people said that was the most important. 11 next in third most important was that the issue is handled by one employee, and then you can see it goes down to choice of channels, polite and friendly employees, a short call web chat times, long opening hours, and finally UK based employees. Okay, it feels a bit silly to make accessing contact centers difficult. No one calls a contact center for fun. They want to get info or fix something. Deflecting them all over is self-defeating. They'll be in a more negative state of mind when they finally do speak to someone. Very true, Danny. And yes, Nick might be jumping ahead, but is this compared to the point of view of a customer? That's coming next. Well done, Nick. So this is from us, right? From the decision makers that completed the Contact Babel research, um, were asked to rank these eight items in order of importance to the customer when contacting your organization. And by far, 54% said the most important thing was first time resolution, first call resolution. Um, so, first call resolution ties in when no one calls for a chat comment. Getting it right and having me trust that you have got it right is a basic requirement. Very true. Now then, Nick was again ahead of the game here when he said, what about the point of view of the customer? So that is the very next thing. And this was, let me just get this right. I want to say 2000. Sorry, 1,000. So Contact Babel carried out a survey of 1,000 UK customers. Before I get there, let me just go to, you want your waiter to, one, get your order correct, two, do it quickly, and three, a smile would be nice in that order. Yes, dead true, David, and a nice analogy. So let's go to the point of view of the customer now. Remember, first time resolution was number one for us internally. Was it number one for the customer, do you think? No, is the answer. It's close, but as you can see here, it's a figures below are expressed as a percentage of each age group that expressed an opinion. And the previous chart shows the importance of various factors. Okay. There we go. So overall, you can see that actually it was short queues and wait time across all of these different demographics was the most important, followed by first call resolution. It is close, but it's interesting, isn't it? That actually they just want to get through and they want it easier. So perhaps this is more about customer effort than anything else. What do you think? And there isn't too many differences, perhaps, in polite and friendly employees, but there aren't too many differences for between the age groups. As Danny says, it's still around the 60% mark for all age groups. Yeah, it's true. Isn't it true? It's interesting. Big difference in UK based preference. Yeah, that's gone from bottom to third. Well spotted, Bev. Fascinating, isn't it? Less so for younger generation, let's say, the older age groups from 45. Bad graph. First call resolution is higher than Q for almost all ages. Skewed graph because youngest group is lower. Yes. Yes, very true. So it's still first call resolution is what we're saying. But as Bev points out, that's fascinating. Why do we see it as less of an issue that a contact center is UK based, but customers do? It's an interesting one, isn't it? It would be nice to know if the same question around if the outcome was the same, does it matter whether it's UK or non-UK? Um, I know personally, I don't mind. So we're now up to page 364, and we're going on to some more customer satisfaction metrics that'll be quite interesting. Now, after that, I've had a sneak through. Bev, no comment. Okay, this graph. These graphs have infuriated you. It's great, isn't it? Mad that polite and friendly is so important for 16 to 24 age group. Watching with Steve Sullivan, he says customers are goldfish. The happiest of animals, do you mean, Steve? Because they forget quickly. This is a phrase I use. I can't go a show without mentioning coaching the girls' football, but I tell them they have to be like goldfish. You have to forget. You make a mistake, forget. Um, Society at large is afraid of people that are different. You see it as a factor in current political discussions. Companies are going to score themselves as we're not xenophobic. Public are more honest, it seems. Um, we're thinking about metrics and costs, says Dave. Customers want to be sure they only have to call once and have had more time to build up some preconceptions. So these graphs, these last two here, have really got you guys thinking. I love it. I love it. So this, and to Bev's point, look at that. UK based employees, least important. Um, Third most important to customers. And if we are going to go along with the adage of the customer is always right, then perhaps this is a factor. I guess we'd all like to know how the question was phrased, right? What were these questions? Because Mark comes in here. I have had better service from the South African teams than the UK lately. Um, and again, I think it's that point around Mark. I agree around if it's the outcome, it's the outcome's important, right? Um, Nick, this is exactly my point. I wonder who would win the contact center awards if it was customers judging. Adding customers into that process, wow, that would be great, wouldn't it? You'd have to have customers that have had experience of lots of them. Nick for the win. Nick, you're going to win comment of the day. Um, Nick Thompson, there's an idea. Yeah, we're loving your idea, Nick. I wonder who would win the contact center awards if it was customers judging. Mm. There must be a way to involve a customer view into some of these, so we're not kind of too inward looking. Um, so some couple of slides there at the end that have really got you going. I have loved chatting to you all. I like that Neris, you and Steve are watching together. Steve, please do not give up trying to contact me and get in touch with me. Okay, it will happen. I'm still wading my way through the early stages of building a business. I know you're probably spitting tea at the screen, but we will absolutely get together. I'm still trying to become more organized, let's say. The fact that the older you are, the more likely UK-based employees is more important broadly mirrors the Brexit vote. Hashtag just saying. Well, I would love to talk. Maybe we can have a whole show talking about politics and the insanity of the Brexit vote. That's for another day. I think that will be a lively one, wouldn't it? But I think we're all friends now, so we can all disagree in a fun way. But I agree with you, Danny. Peter's here. I've judged awards before where I've thought I read about these guys on LinkedIn recently, and it wasn't a good post. Wow, there you go. This is interesting, isn't it? Yeah, he spat tea, and it's on my screen. Sorry, Neris. He looks forward to catching up, as do I. Oh, it's lovely. Peter's here too. Lovely, lovely, Peter. And you make a really good point. Preference for UK based advisors is often related to challenging communication that may arise as a result of a highly different accent and therefore misunderstandings, or a totally different communication manner, culture related, especially between Western cultures and Asian ones. But this is another universe like topic. Yes. And I know, Ever, you could talk about this for a long time. Yeah, very. So I'm glad you are watching these shows together. I hope we can do, maybe we could do one all in person one day. Wouldn't that be great? But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day. Hopefully, this has given you some food for thought. And I certainly have enjoyed reading your musings. You guys are super clever. I love chatting with you. It's the highlight of my week, and I look forward to seeing you all next Tuesday. So have a lovely rest of the week, everybody.